This is a review of infinitives in Latin. Infinitives in Latin, there's only 6 types of infinitives. They only come in 3 tenses, and they come in both active and passive. So the 3 tenses either are present, which means it's happening now, perfect, which is the past tense, and there's only one past tense, or future, which means it's happening in the future, and there's only one future tense. So to give you an idea of what these sound like in English, the present infinitive is to give, right? To verb. And the passive of that is to be given. If we want to take that and make it past tense, it'd be to have given. And the passive of that is to have been given. And the future is a little bit tricky in English. It's going to sound very strange. So the future is to be about to give. And the passive sounds even stranger. To be about to be given. So let's look at what these look like in Latin. So the present infinitive is the easiest one to start with. It's sort of a Latin 1 infinitive, and it's the second principal part. So amo amare, video videre, dico dicere, audio audire. And that just simply means to verb. Now, it gets a little bit trickier when you want to make it passive, but it's not too difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the last E of the infinitive, and we're going to change it. We're going to change it to a long I. So amare becomes amari, which means to be loved. So we've changed the action around and made it passive. Videre becomes videri, which means to be seen. And see in the passive is also seem, so this could also be to seem. And audire is audiri, to be heard. Now we skipped dicere, and that's because this infinitive it's different already because it has a short vowel. So we have long A in amare, long E in videre, and long I in audire. When you take the last E off dicere, that short E that's left isn't strong enough to hold on. So the whole thing actually gets taken away. So instead of just the last part, we're going to take the whole infinitive ending off to become dici. And that's the only tricky part about the present passive infinitive. All right, so the perfect infinitive, we're going to start with our perfect stem. Whenever we start with perfect, we'll do our perfect stem. And we can get that from the third principal part. And we're just going to add isse to it. So our perfect stems for all those words come from the third principal part. Amo, amare, amawi, video, videre, vidi, dico, dicere, dixi, and audio, audire, audivi. So we're going to add isse. And to translate them, you just say to have verbed. Now, to make anything perfect passive, it takes a little bit of work because the perfect passive is always 2 words. So we're going to use the perfect passive participle to make the perfect passive infinitive. Remember that that's our 4th principal part. And we're going to use the infinitive of sum, esse. So, amatus esse, which is the 4th principal part, visus esse, dictus esse, and auditus esse. And to translate them, you just say to have been verbed. Now remember, in a lot of Latin prose, the esse is actually left off because it can be very easily inferred from context. So you might just say amatus or visus, and the book will tell you that there's an implied esse. And then future infinitives, we're going to use the same idea as the perfect infinitives. We'll use our future active participle to make the future active infinitive. So that's our 4th principal part plus the UR before the ending. And then we'll use the form of sum. We'll use the infinitive to make the infinitive. So esse. And these sound very strange in English to translate. To be about to verb. Oh, it looks like I made a typo on the very last one. It should be auditurus esse. I'm sorry about that. To make these passive, we're going to use the future passive participle. And remember, that's actually the gerundive, which you can identify with the nd in it. So amandus, videndus, dicendus, and audiendus. And again, the translation of these is very strange. To be about to be verbed. And with both of these types of infinitives, you may often see the esse left off. And you'll just see the participle. So the place you're going to most likely see a lot of infinitives are when they're the verb in an indirect statement. So a direct statement would be something like Cicero is stupid. And then we indirectly say that Mark Antony says that Cicero is stupid. Well, in the indirect statement, the verb of the previous direct statement is now an infinitive. So the original verb is est. So when we report that, we're going to have to use the verb esse. Now, if the original statement is in the past tense, our infinitive is going to have to be a past tense infinitive. So Mark Antony killed me, said Cicero, from beyond the grave. And so he says now that Mark Antony killed him in the past. So we're going to use a perfect infinitive for that, to show that it happened in the past. And then Octavian says, I will kill Mark Antony. So to show something that the original verb is future, we're going to use a future infinitive. And here the participle is going to agree with the subject. So the subject of the indirect statement is say. He says that he himself. And the subject's accusative because that's the way indirect statement works. Subject, accusative, verb form, infinitive. And that, in a nutshell, is all you need to know about infinitives. I hope that helped.